If you're wondering why these art pieces are hung up randomly, it's to cover up scuff marks. And if you're my landlord watching this is a gross invasion of privacy and you need to click off, Brandon. Hi, my name is Tati and I'm allergic to walnuts. Welcome to my channel. I've also gained and lost over 100 pounds, not all at once, but cumulatively. And today, I wanted to talk about some of the reasons why I got fat in the first place. So let's talk about it. And by talk, I mean I talk and you listen. It's like a one-sided conversation. People have these a lot with me in person too. I do really quickly want to point out that there is a difference between fault and responsibility. While a couple of these reasons as to why I gained 100 pounds, over 100 pounds, and subsequently had to lose it, weren't really my fault, right? They were absolutely my responsibility. No one was going to lose the weight for me. Society. Can't live with it. Can't reliably DoorDash yourself ramen noodles at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night without it. Like many of you, I am but a humble American, which means that I live in an area that is more saturated by fast food than anything else. It's easier for me to get a cheeseburger than get adequate access to healthcare, even when my life is on the line. The fruit in America has a lower fiber content and a higher sugar content than fruit abroad. Bread in Europe doesn't give me digestive issues, but bread in America makes me get married to my toilet. So these are all things that we all deal with day to day. On top of that, I live in a major metropolitan city, which is largely unwalkable. If I could walk it, I wouldn't want to walk it because I would get shanked in about 15 seconds. So use your imagination and deduce where I live. Next up on the list is family. Family forces you to eat at social gatherings, at your birthday. At least my family does. In my culture, you eat and you have a good time. You say thank you. You ask for seconds when you're offered them by anyone. If you turn down their food, it means you don't like them. I'm also from a culture that largely eats carbohydrates and a little bit of meat. While it's a super yummy good time, it doesn't mean that it equates to good nutrition. The last part of society is friends, social time, when you hang out with each other. I don't know about you, but my friends are cheap and they like to go to all you can eat. ACE for short. A normal person could potentially go to an all you can eat scenario and eat just a little bit, eat until they've had their fill. But a lot of us do not have normal relationships with food. So when I go to an all you can eat area, when I am full is not when I stop. When I hate myself and cannot comfortably breathe is when I stop. Once I started losing weight, I actually saw my friends less and less. I wasn't getting invited out when they were going out to eat because they knew that I wasn't really interested in paying to get fat. It's a miracle that I've maintained these friendships, so I'm not going to act too bothered, even though I am, that they're not inviting me out to eat anymore. A series of mistakes. When I was 12 years old, my cousin showed me a PETA video. It traumatized me and I went vegetarian. Except I didn't really know anything about nutrition, and I've always been, unfortunately, despite the fact that I have a freaking master's degree, relatively lazy. I never learned how to cook food properly at that time to make sure that I was getting adequate nutrition. So what did I do? Well, like any healthy vegetarian, I ate Lay's potato chips and Oreos and I called it a day. I ate microwavable bean and cheese burritos. Those are very nostalgic for me. If I eat one, I think back to high school and I immediately vomit. Not from the bean and cheese burrito, but from, high school. When I entered college, I became rather athletic. I used to bike something like 30, 35 miles a day. I had a group of friends that I used to bicycle with. Except you know what I noticed relatively quickly? Well, they were really muscular and I wasn't. At the time, I just thought that was kind of weird, but now I absolutely know it was because I was eating like 30 grams of protein a day on a good day. One of my go-to meals was a Big Mac at McDonald's without any meat. Like seriously, that's what I used to frequently eat in college. Not exactly a balanced meal. I also completely lost track of what a normal portion size was. Fun fact about me, my husband's family and I like to go to this Mexican place in the middle of nowhere, which super sucks. But they're open and they have adequate waitstaff most of the time, so we go anyway. And the item that I get over there is called a super giant burrito. It comes with a side of refried beans and a side of rice. I used to get this, and the first time that I got it, actually, my husband's parents were like, "Sweetie, no way you're going to be able to eat all of that." And then they continued to watch in equal parts horror and amazement as I consumed it, ate all the beans, ate all the rice, and then ate some of my husband's food. This freak show act that I was putting on was only doable after decades of overeating. I never knew what a normal portion size looks like. I have a large appetite. Tourists from other countries frequently comment on how American portion sizes are large. That is how I developed my voracious appetite. Now, combine that with a propensity for eating junk food, and we have a giant disaster waiting to happen in the shape of prediabetes, high cholesterol, knee pain, and shortness of breath when ascending any amount of stairs. Decades of unresolved trauma. Today is actually the anniversary of my father's death. I don't want to go too into detail about this, but my childhood and my early adulthood was absolutely traumatizing. And like any healthy, normal person, instead of dealing with it and going to therapy, I started eating my feelings instead so that I would never have to feel even 2 seconds of discomfort. The worst part is I truly believed that nothing that had happened to me in my childhood or early adulthood had any sort of impact on me because on paper I was functioning just fine. I had a career, I had a good marriage, I had successful friendships, I had all the makings of a normal person, except for the fact that I compulsively ate all of the time, numbed all of my feelings, and I could never tell when I was sad or usually even happy. It's a strange concept, I think, for people who are in touch with their emotions to grasp. Even to this day, I genuinely cannot tell when I am sad. I've had two careers in my adult life so far. My first career was as a scientist. And I think a lot of that type of thinking has carried over to my day to day life now. So instead of being able to tell that I am sad because I feel sad, right? I actually have to observe my actions and the symptoms of sadness. So I will notice that I'm not hanging out with my friends. I'm sleeping a lot more. I'm maybe eating more. I feel sluggish. I don't feel like going to work. And then it dawns on me that actually I am sad. The reason why this is I used food to numb my feelings in regard to the things that happened to me and the things that I did for a really long time, to the point of not being able to feel feelings at all. While there is a certain comfort to this numbness, it's also a little bit weird. And these decades of unresolved trauma definitely resulted in my weight gain. I would classify this under underlying health conditions. I was also diagnosed with PCOS with insulin resistance, which I believe 10% of all women have. That was kind of a handy diagnosis because it helped explain why I had to work harder than other women to lose weight. And before I used to just blame myself for that, but now I kind of knew why that was happening. Many people have underlying health conditions, whether it is psychological health conditions or, I guess, physiological health conditions that can contribute to overeating, not developing the best eating habits, becoming overweight, obese, whatever. So it's not exactly an excuse, but it's a contributing factor. It's important to figure out what's happening with you, but it's equally important to not use it as an excuse. Dumber people than you have been through worse, and they've done more with their lives. The pharmaceutical industrial complex. I was put on a birth control that was progesterone based. And I gained about 60 pounds that year. I didn't realize that that was what was happening because at the time I was dating this guy. I was in this like semi happy relationship. So I thought I was just gaining weight because we were going out to eat together a lot. But then when I got off of that birth control, I lost 40 pounds in about 3 months without even really trying. And in hindsight, it was kind of clear what had happened. At some point, you have to take accountability for yourself. You can't just use the things that have happened within your lifetime as barriers to success. So, sure, there's a bunch of different contributors as to why I got fat, but ultimately, understanding that I was the reason that I got fat is what enabled me to make better, healthier choices for myself and overcome that. Whatever, I hope it helps. If this doesn't help, please ignore this freaking video. All I want to do is be able to be a part of the journey of healing from these traumatic relationships with food and our bodies for some people. All I want to do is help to enable you to have the best health that you can have. I don't know. So if none of this spoke to you, that's cool. That's okay. Click off. If some of it did speak to you, subscribe or whatever. I don't know. That's all I've got for today, guys. Have a good one.